Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that, though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Shamika, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stalk you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know D, you must have seen money in that. You know he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass.
Damn, man. Is you serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men, or should I say, male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off the house.
Pretty good, though. Don't on that bullshit.
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart.
Okay. All right. Okay. They just said, they just came and told me that they're not getting any sounds. All right, people. Yes, I can hear you. You can't hear me at all. Let me bring you in. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Hold up 1 second. All right. We had to do a check here with sound, people. All right. So let me bring you in here. No. There we go. There you are. You're on. I can see you, but I don't. Okay, there we go. We'll wait for you to come in. Okay, people. Let's start again. Welcome to TFR Podcast Live. Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Observations with your host, Crazy D, with my guest host, Tanya M. Congress. Can you hear me? Can I hear you? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, we're having some kind of technical difficulties this morning.
Okay, it just snapped in.
You can hear me. Okay, there we go.
Yes,
all right,
now I
people.
can hear you.
So, now that we've gotten over the technical difficulties, the phone lines are open. 213-943-3358. Hey, sometimes it happens when you're dealing with technology. 213-943-3358. As usual, the show is brought to you by Back in Cleveland movie, available on lordlandfilms.com. It's one of the funniest, serious productions Crazy D has ever produced, featuring talent from Cleveland. Make sure that you go check it out. It's $2.99, or you can order the hard copy, right? On demand, you can order it for $2.99. Make sure you watch it. You will be entertained, right? So what is the topic for today's show? Like the opossums guarding the hen house. Like the opossums guarding the hen house. What does that mean? What does that mean, right? Aria de Mizzo, have you heard that name? Well, if New Hampshire County has their way, they will soon call her sheriff. A woman sheriff who's the high priestess of the Reformed Satanic Church. And a transgender will possibly be sheriff with her decidedly non-law and order campaign slogan, F the police. With anarchists organizing and mobilizing to co-opt the American Black movement for just us, and the fight to dismantle quote-unquote state on both sides, have American blacks come to the realization we are on our own. Have we come to the realization that we are on our own? 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. So before we begin, how was your weekend, Tanya? And what do you want to say to the people as we kick this off?
My weekend was great, but the more that we do these shows, and it's not a but, it is an also. The more that we do these shows, the more my mind is on getting information out to the people. And it does not surprise me at all that this person that is going to be sheriff, and then and whoever else is going to be under them, this is not a surprise at all. I could have saw this coming years ago, and it's not just in this one place that it's going to be happening. This whole plan and diabolical plan of witchcraft to take over different places or take over the whole country has always been an agenda. Ever since Abraham Lincoln's wife conducted a seance in the White House, and there have been several other first ladies who have been guilty of doing similar things. And so when you have that kind of thing going on in the midst of the most important place, the hub of the country, so to speak, it would stand to reason that the country has been opened up to that kind of spiritual situation, regardless to whether it said it was built on Christian values. And even being said that it was built on Christian values, there are some issues there as well, which is why witchcraft can even get in so easily because of the Christian values. Now, some people may be upset at that, but unless you go and do your research, there's no reason to be upset at truth. You just have to modify and govern yourself accordingly. This stuff, if I told people this stuff years ago, oh, that's just because at the time I was a practicing Christian, and I do still believe in Christ. However, Christianity as the formal religion, I am no longer affiliated with that per se. All right. So had I told anyone this years ago, they would have been saying, "Oh, that's just some of that Christian stuff. Oh, that's some of that spooky deep stuff. Oh, she's in one of those places where they believe in all of this kind of spooky stuff." Wow, they've been creeping right up under the noses of non-spiritual people. Actually, everybody's spiritual. It's a matter of what kind of spirit you entertain. All right. And what kind of spirit you're more affiliated with. But everybody is spiritual. And it's one way or the other, everyone is. All right. But had I said this to the general population years ago, it would have been I would have been accused of being just spooky deep or whatever. But this now they've slid in under the radar. Everybody's in position now. Everybody's in position. You got your anarchists. You got all of this in efforts to tear down and dismantle everything that was. And to some degree, that's not exactly a bad thing, right? However, it's how it's being done. It's how it's being done. And what American blacks have to realize is that we're not on the agenda unless it is to be a catalyst or, a conduit to help them do what they're doing. But we are not, just like in everything else, we are just the numbers that are needed to push things through. Our numbers are needed. Our votes do count. That's the reason why we've been talking about sitting this one out. This is not about the presidency. This is about where we are. This is our right. It is our right to have. It is our right to have due compensation for services rendered. It is our right to have that. And so when you have a president that's coming in talking about he's going to give, all of this is under witchcraft. This is under a spell, if you understand what I'm saying. You have a presidential candidate who's saying he's going to allow immigrants in this country. They're going to give them free health care and all this stuff we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. And yet our reparations has not been dispersed. All right. So what money are you going to use to fund the immigrants that are coming? I'm not prejudiced against immigrants. I understand that this place has been promoted as the land of opportunity. All right. I understand that. But however, the opportunities have been limited to the people who have built this country. This is my problem. So my thing is, where is the money coming from that is going to fund all of this grandiose stuff that you're promising the immigrants when you haven't dispersed our reparations? That means you're going to take it from that pool of resources. And that is the problem.
That is the problem. 213-943-3358. We have the chat board open on the Film Review Live channel. Just go to YouTube and search hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB episode 14. And it will come up and you can comment on the chat board, or you can call in at 213-943-3358. Let your voice be heard. We are simulcasting on Periscope, on Vimeo, on FB, on the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society page. Also, the link is sent over to Tanya M. Congress's page also. And we are on the Film Review Live channel right now. The Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Click the link, click the bell so you'll know when we come on. You will be notified, right? And make sure that you go over to the Cash App, $sign TFR Podcast Live, $PA TFR Podcast Live, and drop a few dollars on there. You like what we're doing. We'd like to thank those who donated in the past, but we're talking about the present. So go ahead and donate a few dollars so we can keep this rolling right along. So what does the main title of the topic today mean? Like the opossums guarding the hen house, right? I could have said possum, but possum is one of 70 offshoot species of the original opossum. What is a opossum? if you would, real quickly, Tanya, if you would look up what a opossum is. It is a
All right, hang on.
marsupial. And what does a marsupial do, primarily? Besides bear a lot of children.
Okay, it is opossum.
Yes, go ahead.
Opossum is a marsupial of the order of Didymorphia. Didymorphia endemic to the Americas. The largest order of marsupials in the Western Hemisphere comprises 103 or more species and 19 genera.
Now, a marsupial eats things, right? So, you know, what's up to Kadisha Vaughn? I see that she's watching. I want to say hello to her. Thanks for chiming in, and everyone who is on YouTube right now. A marsupial, you've heard the old expression, it's like the fox guarding the hen house. Well, I wanted to go a little deeper and bring a marsupial that is a night creature that will come in and snatch eggs from out the hen house to feed on. Will destroy the hens and the rooster and go in there and get what it needs to get, and it will eat the offspring of the hens, the chickens, the rooster. And so this is why we say, like the the opossum, I'm getting the marsupial and the opossum, what it is, and that the opossums guarding the hen house. We as American blacks have set ourselves up to have opossums guarding our hen house. And what do we mean by that? We have groups of people. We start out with our organizations like hashtag BLM. I wrote that 3 weeks ago. I'm still waiting for a response from hashtag BLM, Black Lives Matter. Have you been co-opted? Do you have control of your merch? Right? And the answer appears to be no, because every time I see Black Lives Matter, now I see it as a Caucasian group, because those are the people who are out there. They are out there, they are protesting, they are doing what they are doing, such as these 7 right here. These 7 right here are, pretty much what you see when you look at Black Lives Matter now, is what you see as people that look like these 7 rich, affluent people. We went over this on Friday, so we're not going to go over through. And then on the show, episode 130 of hashtag TFR Podcast Live, that is up on the Film Review Life channel, we went over and we dropped the names down, right? Most of them are immigrants, fresh, maybe first to 5th generation. They haven't been here. We were talking to a Indian guy on the show yesterday who called up, who wanted to discuss pedophilia and wanted to justify his need to date underage women, right? And I expressed to him, I say, that's interesting, but you haven't been here as long as my people have been here. And he admitted, no. You can go away and say, no, I haven't. Well, there you go, people. So these people here who are talking about Marxism, and we told you Marxism is nothing but the study of capitalism, how it affects workers, the society, and they lean towards pushing communism. So what these people should be called is not Marxists, but communists. These are the people that we are aligning with or allowing to co-opt movements like the Black Lives Matter women allowed them to co-opt their movement. People like this who are chanting death to America, and the last time I knew, we weren't about death to America, and it's no better than the accelerationists, right? No better than the accelerationists who believe in America falling so they can have a white ethno state. So who are the people who are really out there? This is the situation, right? This is the situation. So when we talk about hen house and allowing a certain group of people to be guarding our hen house instead of us being self-sufficient to guard ourselves, we're talking about situations that happened in the past but are ever present today. Now, on the right side of the screen, that is the person running for sheriff. This is what our main topic is about. You have people who are talking about, this person is talking about destroying the state, saying that you have relied on a system that is broken and we are going to dismantle this system, and somehow the people on the right have let her in and she got the nod on the Republican side. When you talk about his story and our story within his story, we have to look at the black massacres as laid out in this meme right here, right? It goes all over. We've got Chicago, Detroit, New York, Washington, Springfield, East St. Louis, Philadelphia, Wilmington, Memphis, Tulsa. Of course, Tulsa being one of the more famous ones, right? Vicksburg, Charleston, right? And the list goes on and on and on. Who was around during that time? Were not the anarchists around, the people who believed in Marxism, the study of to move to communism, who talked about workers' rights, creating unions to strike? These are the same people that were around then, but because we don't have a understanding or a knowledge of his story that our people live, we don't realize that these are the same people who perpetuated this right here, this horror, these black massacres. The same people in between the people who are about workers and unions, or on the other side, which are now called accelerationists, white nationalists, to cripple this. These people cripple black economies. They cripple black economies, and the same people are trying to cripple the American state. But because we don't realize that, we are so fast to join with these groups because, oh, here comes a white person that appears to care about what we're talking about. But we don't take enough time to look at history and say that labor parties, unions, people who believe in communism, people who believe in anarchy are the same as the opposite side of the coin. It's the same coin, the opposite side of the coin that houses white supremacists and now accelerationism. And when we finally learn that we need to be for and with ourselves on these situations, things like what's getting ready to happen in New Hampshire County would not happen. But we believe something, and we believe these anarchists, right? So let's see what you got to say. Oh, we have comments. All right, so we're going to read some comments, but what do you have to say to that, Tanya?
There has to be a time when, because a lot of our people have been historically complacent, where we'll sit back and just watch things happen. Now, when I say sit out this election, I'm talking about sitting out of stuff. I'm not talking about sitting out and being inactive. Definitely, we're going to be active. However, the details of that activity will remain a mystery to those who it needs to be a mystery to. All right. But when you sit back and you're looking at these people and you just let things happen, just let it happen. And to my Christian people, oh well, the Lord got us. Let me tell you something. Just an insertion. When Christ hung his head on that cross and said, "It is finished, it was done. Now it's all on you." So what you sitting around waiting for, waiting to happen, something to fall out the sky, some kind of answer, this is what you here for. You are the answer to the situation. All right. And so if you're going to sit there on your blessed assurance and think that something is just going to come out the sky and just, you keep on confessing, take care of me. He's like, I'm giving you everything. He said, I have given you everything that pertains to life, that's your natural life, and godliness, that's your spiritual life. So when you look at programs like this with people who are informed and spiritual, who is giving you information and giving you direction, if you haven't picked up in your spirit already, also prophetic, is giving you education, instruction, and direction. That is the part in natural things. That is the spiritual inroads into you being taken care of, by the God that you pray to. All right. And so we have people who have historically been complacent. Out of the ones who have not been complacent, they've been grasping at straws and throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks, and only going with the information that agrees with their already predisposed ideals, right? You have predisposed ideals, and so you only align yourself with the knowledge bases and things that are going to accommodate those already predisposed ideals. And what you have done is we've allowed the monsters to not only be created. And when I looked up the opossum, what's funny about that is that they're marsupials, so that means that they carry their young in a pouch, so they're hidden. Right? They're hidden. And so these young have been hidden, and now they are grown. They don't have to be in the pouches anymore. Now they're letting loose. They play sleep. They can pretend like they're dead and play sleep, and all of a sudden, bam, we up in your place. And what are you going to do about it? Because you've been sitting there not getting the education. The definition of ignorance, this is Tanya's definition of ignorance, is willfully ignoring information and knowledge. And you're willingly doing it because it does not fit with your ideals. So here we are. We are in we're caught in a strait betwixt. And now we're looking at each other saying, well, are you gonna do this? You gonna do that? Well, and then in such pride and pompousness, we have some of us, well, I'm voting because, that's my right to vote. Okay, you go ahead. Go ahead on with your bad self and watch there be nothing to show for your time standing in line or writing a absentee ballot or whatever it is that you did. Watch there be nothing to show for that. Mark my words.
Okay, people, so look, 213-943-3358. The phone lines are open. We need to check those phone lines to make sure that they're working, though. You know how they do the fugaziness, and we go in there and check those phone lines. Listen, S1 Dubs is watching on YouTube. His first message, YouTube did not print that message because he says over here, I can only see so much of it. He says, you can't date underage women. It's statutory. I guess he must have said rape, and the bot caught that term rape, I guess, and cut that off so that wouldn't display. However, his second post up there, S1 Dubs or molestation. So it must have been statutory rape or molestation. Then he says, S1 Dubs says, destroy the state and replace it with what? Beware of the burn it all down crowd. What comes after may be much worse than what we have now. And that is right. That I have to agree with that train of thought there, right? That train of thought. That is what it is, right? So let's go through this. This is why they're running into a situation with American blacks today with this election. For those who are not, I'm going to say this and I say it all the time, those who are not party Dixiecrat coons or party Repub coons or party independent or party left, right, blue, green, nonpartisan party coons, for those who are not coons and who are awake, who don't just want to hobnob and rub shoulders with, but want to be and make something that where we're there and we love one another and we build and we secure. This symbolicness is not working. We have told you constantly over the weeks. We've been at this now for 3 weeks, but of course we've been telling you on hashtag TFR Podcast Live, episodes 104 through 110 and episodes 121 through 130 now. We've been breaking down the information through reviewing film and showing you in film, right? We've been doing this, but here we've been at it for 3 weeks, and we told you to go read Biden's plan. And what it does is it puts American blacks in debt while allowing immigrants to come over and they get a TIN number, tax identification number. They get free health care. They get free subsidized housing in the suburbs, right? They get the ability to have a job, and most likely you have children, don't you? You have a family, don't you? You will be training your replacement, and they will give you your pink slip by next Christmas.
Wow.
Right. So this is real stuff, right? This is real stuff. You're going to train your replacement because they're going to do it cheaper, right? But what are they giving black people? They're giving black people loans and a rebate of $15,000. And most houses start at $150,000. Then you got to pay property tax and you got to pay the mortgage. You're really not owning anything, especially when you know that land came free if the immigrant could come over and have money to buy what property. And what was property? Not the house, not the land, but the black body that tilled the soil, that planted, that built upon that to make a cash crop. Then they would get land free, right? The person says there are two factions of white people are in. That's right. We discussed that. That did not come up. When you said white people, S1 dubs, they blocked it, and I can't read the whole thing. They block things. He said there are two factions. That's right. And we've been talking about the two factions. We've been talking about the anarchists and the accelerationists. And either way, neither one is talking anything in history. Just looking at his story and our story, neither one has talked anything that had to do positively for black people. So this is where we are at, right? And this is why they find themselves in a little conundrum, because the people are aware and they are waking up. And so this meme says, aproposly, I made a new word, aproposly, thank you for the symbolic gestures, but black people need reparations. So thank you for coming and joining in on the protest and somehow co-opting it and making it about death to America. But we're not talking about death to America. We're not talking about that. People who are aware of what's going on, we are talking about, because if you destroy and collapse the state is what owes. The state is what owes, and if it's collapsed, it seems like one big game. It seems like a game that they're trying to play. It seems like a game that they are trying to play with the people, and we have no time to have games played with us. But, you know, as always, you will find a black person, right? You will find a black person that will follow that line of anarchists. And get ready for this, people, because this right here is a major disgrace. And let's play this, and we're gonna come right back. Let's play this real quick. And we're gonna come right.
Black man in America. You standing on this side of the goddamn line.
What? You got a lazy eye, I can tell. Look at this Uncle Sam. That's a lazy eye right there. That's a lazy eye. You hurt, huh?
Taking his wife hurt. You for a young black man in this crowd right now?
You can't even do shit, and I'm in your face.
You can't even say
you know you don't stand for that shit.
You won't even respond.
Back in the day, somebody getting this close to your face, you're going for that? Okay. Yeah. That's pissing you off, huh? You stop breathing, you got your hands together, you wanting your piece. You want to punch me right now, don't you? You want me to get out your face, don't you? But you can't do shit. You can't do shit until Chief tell you, huh? Till your daddy tell you.
Till your dad tell you.
Till your daddy tell you to do something, huh? He said, take your clip out your gun, because you can't do shit with it.
You took it out, didn't you? You listen like a sergeant.
They said put them motherfucking clothes on.
He ain't listen like no sergeant. He ain't listen like no sergeant. He not even no damn sergeant.
He like a little bitch.
That's what you listen like. You somebody bitch, bro.
Dirty as hell, bro.
You listen to words everybody else say. You don't even think for your damn self. You don't even let them think for their damn self. Black man in America.
This is a major disgrace. This is a disgrace. This black man is serving his country. He's serving his country. It is a disgrace. It is a disgrace what this young American black male did to another American black male that is serving his country. Where are you going? If you're following along with the anarchists, where are you going when the state is collapsed? What is it going to collapse into? Have you even studied what it takes to make a preambulum, to make a set of grievances, to make a declaration? Do you even know what it takes to create a constitution? So what is it falling into? If the state falls, where is it falling? It's going to fall into an abyss. And what does the abyss mean for you? This is a disgrace. This is a disgrace. This young American black male talking to this American black male who is serving his country. He is serving his country. And I don't understand what's really good. Where are you going? We just finished talking about Africa and the pedophilia and the sex trade over there. Wake up, Pan-Africanists. We talked about that in episode 130. Wake up. They're laughing at you when you come over because they're looking for the European with the dollar that can pay them more than 4 weeks or 5 weeks of work can pay them in one shot. More. Where are you going while you're talking about and you're talking against this man, right? Who is out to feed his family and give a better way for his family. What are you doing, American black man? What are you doing? Those who are out there who are believing this anarchist crap that's being put down because you haven't researched enough history, his story, our story within this land, our story globally, but we're talking about American black right now. You haven't done enough studying to realize that this is a plan to strip you of what you are owed. Either side, the accelerationists on the white nationalist hard right, alt-right, or the leftist, as they call them, the ones who are calling Marxists, but we told you what Marxism really is. We're talking about communists, we're talking about anarchists that say the state needs to fall because it's no good. Which ones? It's all the same. It's the end of the state, and what's it going to fall into? An abyss that is most likely a white ethno state. What do you stand in that? What's going on? What's going on, American black man?
That what you said is absolutely right. Where are you going? I mean, and as they're standing there doing that, they're I bet you they have thought no further than the immediate right now. They have nothing to gain even standing there doing that. There's not even an immediate it's not an immediate gain from doing that. There's no gain at all, not immediate or future. But when you were talking about the plan that they have for us, the Biden administration, what's his name, Biden administration. I said, oh Biden. When we, oh boy, that's funny in so many ways. But when we think about the Biden, I keep saying Biden. When we keep, oh my goodness, when we keep.
It was the Obama plan too. It was the Obama plan too. So, Biden. Go ahead.
That's funny. When we think about the Biden plan and what they planned, what he said to do for us, to put us in debt and give us a $15,000 rebate. $15,000, is that even a down payment on a house these days? It's 10% of 150. So that means you're already given a cap. So if you were going after a home loan and you want to say the house that you wanted was $275,000, how about that? You don't even have enough of the down payment for the house. And that's just a sidebar. But in thinking of it from this perspective, if we're in debt because we're paying back and we're financing, this is real good here. And this is a double rape. And they're gonna bleep that out. This is double. So you're gonna not give us our reparations or not disperse, because you're not giving us nothing. You're not dispersing our reparations. So that money is going to go to that cause. And also you're going to put us in debt, and the money that we pay to the debt is going to go to that cause. I mean, come on, people. What are we going to do? What are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? Come on. You're catching it both ways. And then there's a third way. You got these groups that are coming in and saying this and that, and all of these causes. It's nothing more than a distraction. A wise person would sit back in their chair, find them a nice, comfortable chair, get in the most comfortable chair in your house, and lean back and chill. Just chill while you're strategizing with like-minded individuals. Because this right here, there's nothing for us in it. There's nothing for us in it. You might get a little bit, as long as, and I'm sorry for y'all that's going to get mad, but for those of you, as long as President Trump is in office, we're going to get some things. We're going to get some things. I know y'all didn't like that. We're going to get some things as long as he's in office. But it doesn't matter, because even with his presidency, what we're supposed to get, when are we going to get this party started? Okay. Who's going to get it started? We know the Democrats are not going to do it, because they've already planned in ways that are not beneficial to us. Now, we have some benefits on the Republican side, but still nobody's talking reparations. Nobody's talking reparations. Everybody's dragging their feet on that. And money is what is needed. The scripture says that money answers all things. Money is what is needed for us to be able to take our seat where we need to take our seat. I think the problem is there's a fear that our seat is at the top, because there's so much that we have done. And that's the problem. But here's the thing for all you listeners that may be slanted toward that that sick and twisted way of thinking. Our hearts as a people were never to be antagonistic towards another people, not initially. Our hearts was, we believe in working and having our own. But who works for 200 years? Who works for 400 years? Free. If you think that that's a good idea, you go do it. So now we're at a point where we're saying enough. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing it. So y'all can fight y'all's war and y'all can have fun like G.I. Joe and G.I. Jane. Y'all can go ahead on and do that while we sit back over here and attend to more beneficial matters. All right? Y'all go ahead on and play cops and robbers, and we're gonna be over here doing this. We're not participating in that. It's a waste of time. It's an exercise in futility, and we are not participating.
We are not participating. S1 Dub says both of those brothers are victims. They should never attack each other. He also said before, the left side of WS, which stands for whites, thought that the immigrants would replace our votes. However, these immigrants are socially conservative. The left side of the whites are now admitting that those votes are ghost. And this is what we see as we go along, and you're playing around and you're not bringing to the people who have been constantly loyal to you since the movement, since the Civil Rights Act. You know, we talked about that, so we're not going to rehash that. You want to go back to previous shows. We break all that down for you. But this right here is another meme which drives the message home. Results when social economic status is held constant provide evidence for a non-white divide and food insecurity for both immigrants and the native born. That is, blacks and Latinos, regardless of nativity status, are significantly more food insecure than both foreign and native born whites. You see? So this is a person that's trying to equate both together, both the immigrants together along with native born American blacks. I really don't have any comment on that other than to say that the meme as far as the food insecurity is a good thing. Everything else, there is no equating between American blacks and African blacks, okay? Because they are different. A woman called up yesterday and she did it so succinctly. She broke it down so succinctly to the point. She said that Chinese are different than Taiwanese. They look similar, but they don't like each other, and there is a difference between the two. And this is what we have to get into our minds, that there's a difference between American blacks and African blacks. And you can go back and listen to episode 130, 213-943-3358. Once you dial in, if you want to come on air to talk, just press number 1 on your dial and I'll see the signal that says that you want to come on and not just listen, and we will bring you up to speak with you. Now, another meme that came up was interesting, exposing the con BID agenda, right? Notice what you see there. You see a 6-headed snake, not the 7-headed snake, but it says avoid the vaccination, and that came from Joel, And I thought that was a pretty good meme because we had talked about the seven-headed snake, and most people still don't know about the seven-headed snake. Speaking of the six-headed snake, which they're talking about is the vaccine. Now, here's another one that I thought was pretty good. I thought this one was pretty good right here. Now, everyone likes The Office. Everybody loves The Office, the TV show. So this person in this meme, this is pretty good. They should first test the COVID vaccine on government officials. If they are safe, the vaccine is good. But if they die, the country is safe. They should first test the COVID vaccine on government officials. This is a great meme here. He's sitting there smug with a smile on his face. He's probably an anarchist, not the actual person or the character on the TV show, but he's probably an anarchist. And he says, if they are safe, the vaccine is good. But if they die, the country is safe. Right? But how well could the country be safe when you're trying to collapse the state on either side? Right? Right. So we just discovered that when you say white, when you write white, they automatically knock it out, because as soon as he wrote WS, capital WS for acronym, that went through. But anytime you say white or something, they're knocking it out. You say certain keywords, the bots are catching them, and they are knocking them out from being seen and heard, right? So look, this one's another good one. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Let's read it again. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. This is a great meme, which brings us to Dr. Keenan, right? Dr. Keenan. First of all, before we play this video and we go through it, Tanya. Oh, he says that S1 Dub says white supremacy. It stands for white supremacy. Well, they let it go through. I thought white supremacy, both sides, the left or the right, is white supremacy. So we agree on that. So before we go, tell them who Dr. Keenan is before we get into this video.
Dr. Keenan, I just became familiar with him with another Facebook friends page, and I came up on this video last week, and it talked about how he was being late. He's a pastor as well, so I guess his doctorate, I'm assuming his doctorate is in divinity, but it may be in something else. He's so well connected in his mind. I'm thinking maybe he may be a doctor of psychology, maybe. But I haven't looked him up yet, but I'm going to. However, what he was speaking about, stopped me to listen to him further, because he was addressing his own people, which are the people of the church, who have been really antagonizing him for being a Trump supporter and for having his own mind concerning the election and having his own mind concerning anything that's going on here that's wrapped up into this whole package. So he has his own thoughts concerning the process that are similar to mine, by the way. And so not in everything, but in most of the things that he talks about, we're similar. So he's a doctor of whatever, divinity or psychology. And he has put a commentary. He actually does this. I subscribe to him. He has things that comes up several times a day, different commentaries and stuff like that. So he's getting some threats and some hate emails and stuff like that. And it's really ridiculous. So if you take the time to listen to him and go look him up and look at some of the other stuff he's saying, you'll know more about what he's about.
Okay, so look, we'll get ready to play this. Now look, having a different point of view on things is called having a mind state. You're not on the hamster wheel in a mindset where you're a drone and you're being told what to do, what to think, and then it turns into a group think that is not positive for American blacks. If you believe that the right or the hard right, the Aryans, the alt-right, the accelerationist is good for you, I can't help you. You're a coon. If you believe that the anarchists, the communists, the Marxists that are studying the capitalist system, trying to collapse the state to make it a communist state, if you believe in those particular Caucasians, I can't help you. You're a coon. If you believe in the Democrats or the Republicans, but if you believe in the Democrats in particular, right, and you know the package that they did, and here's the man that put your people in prison with two bills, one under a Republican president, one under a Democrat president, and the president before that was the one that brought in the Ready Rock. If you sold Ready Rock to your own people, I am not apologetic to tell you that, in my opinion, is one of the most coonish actions that you could have ever done to destroy your community, then later get caught and swept up in 100 to 1, and then 3 strikes. You went away, some made amends, some make amends. So for those who make amends, cool. But if you wanted the lifestyles of the rich and famous with the windshield wipers on your headlights, your BMW or your Benz, you wanted the gold, you wanted the truck jewelry, you wanted the 4-finger ring, or you wanted the ring, you wanted the gold teeth, you wanted all that, you wanted all the trappings, you wanted that house, you wanted that on the backs of turning American black women strawberries, on the back of destroying your community with something that ran so rampant through it. That is one of the biggest coon moves that could have ever been done in the history, right? That's one of the biggest coon moves that could have been done, right? So we're going to go ahead and play this, right? So we're going to go ahead and play this, right? And so let's play it here real quick. Let's see, take what meme down? Let me see. Okay, let me take this down first with the anarchist. Let me take that down because that's almost like I'm advertising. Thanks to my producer there for telling me that. That's good. All right, so that was to make a point, but the point has been made. So let's play this now. And this is Dr. Keenan. And we're going to go through this and we're going to stop and have commentary on this, because what he is kicking and what he is saying to you about what has been happening to American black people is, in my opinion, no doubt that this is what it is. And it's sad that he would have to lament people talking negatively against him, right? So let's listen to this.
But I'm not talking about this specific issue again, so you better listen very, very closely, and you better hear it while it's up, okay? I did it before, it was taken down, but I'm doing it again now, and I want you to share this with everybody you know, especially your black friends. First of all, the idea that anybody, listen to me carefully, anybody that goes against the grain of the popular narrative is an Uncle Tom is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no basis for it, right? There's no basis for it. And if you understand, I can't speak for anybody else. I can't speak for any other leader. I can't speak for any other minister, any other personality, any other platform. But I can only speak for myself. And the idea that I would be considered a sellout because of something that I have put out here recently is ridiculous. So understand that if you look at the African American community historically, we are literally one of the most historically in America, the African American community, and I'm using this in quotes, one of the most morally, historically conservative communities in America. So moral conservatism is not new to the black community. It is actually a historical position. You know, if you understand post emancipation from 1863, 1865.
Let me stop there right there because he's getting ready to kick some information to you about what is called the nadir. Okay? The nadir, which is one of the, I hate using the word dark, is one of the dimmest periods for American blacks because we were traded off upon by two sides of the same coin. And this is why you need to do your research and know what you're looking at when you look at anarchists and you look at accelerationists. Two sides of the same coin with nothing in the middle for American blacks. So he's breaking down the nadir, right? So listen to this, because when I listen to him, like, there are certain things that I didn't agree with necessarily. Like, you know, I use black, I use white, I use the five that was made by that white man and try to show dominance when actually they're at the end. But that's another story for another time. Listen to him and listen to what and we're going to break in periodically, like I said, and give our commentary on it. So here we go.
Most blacks in America had to be a part of a more conservative party because it was the conservative party that actually helped to liberate the slaves. So black people immediately identified with that party as, you know, from a political standpoint. Secondly, you have to understand that the roots of the black community are the church, right? Of the church, prayer, marriage, right? Traditional marriage between man and woman. These were historical, and I'm not saying they are now, but they were historical positions, right? Historical ideologies within the black community. And what I'm trying to explain to you is this, that when you understand as a Christian, you have to have a biblical worldview. Your view is not based upon your blackness or your whiteness. Your view needs to be based upon sola scriptura. Sola scriptura, the scriptures alone.
Let me stop that for a minute. There is where I kind of diverge ways with him on this aspect. Now, he's kicking science, he's kicking good science, right? But I diverge on that thing about black and white because we're talking about two sides of the same coin. We have seen, as my sister alluded to a few episodes back, that the white Christians, the Southern Baptists, the Methodists, the Episcopalians, even the Catholics, because he's speaking primarily to the Protestants, but we will even say Catholicism, those who believe in being Catholic. Their views upon what this thing called race has traditionally and continually is set to keep American blacks at the bottom and to bring people in to step over the blacks, American blacks in this country. It's just the way that it has traditionally been, and that's what it is. So trying to reason with Caucasians is not what, in my opinion, we should be on. We should not be on trying to rationalize. Those who are cool, that come play the back, say, what do you need? You need resources. We're not going to come in, try to co-opt it and start talking about death to America. We're not going to do that. We're going to come in, we're going to give you the finances if you need it to push this on through, but we're going to play the back, and we're not going to give you a bill at the end and saying that you owe us this for what we did. No, we're looking at two sides of the coin, and you can look at Southern Baptist, which was considered the most racist, or you can look at a Methodist Caucasian, and it's two sides of the same coin. Same thing, anarchists and white supremacists, accelerationists. What do you have to say to that?
You're correct, and I'm in total agreement with that. We can't divide it the way he's divided. That's why I was saying that a lot of what he said was on point and consistent with my thought process, but then there were just some areas that I differed in what he was saying. It is this whole, I mean, at this point, I know that because the argument is going to come from some, even though this is not our concern, but from some of our white conservative people, they're going to be like, well, I'm not part of any of those groups. I'm not doing any of that. How does that pertain to me in your view? And I have some white friends that I've had for some years, you understand, but if you know me, you understand enough. You understand what I mean? If I'm addressing an issue, that means there is an issue. So basically, I don't need you to do anything but pray that wisdom and righteousness prevail. That's what you can do. That's what you can do. Just stay out of the way and let wisdom and righteousness prevail, and that should be your prayer. This is a very futile time, and for any American Black person that is labeling a person that is going out front, and I mean the mere fact that this guy is standing out ahead or standing out amongst his peers, his peer group, and sacrificing the pleasures of the old boy network and old girl network that comes along with carrying a title in that particular arena. The mere fact that he's willing to put that on the line to state the things that is on his mind means that what is taking place here is the concern of Black Americans supersede the religion. And I want to be clear about that because the religion itself was based on something else. So this is the reason why our experience as Blacks in America has to supersede that, because we've been riding along with that. A great portion of us have been rolling along with that through generations. And look where we are. Slaves were freed in 1865. Well, this is 2020. And we still have same arguments, some of the same things that are going on. And we have the mitigated goal to have a divide in our mind and our thought process concerning us getting free from this, because we're still, really, to put it lightly, we're still in slavery. As long as we don't have the autonomy to do the things that everybody else can do, we're still in slavery. So to have a differing mind and to receive death threats or any kind of threats or labeling from your own when you're taking a lead that they don't have the testicular fortitude to even step forth and take, just sitting around talking, just sitting around, having commentary, sitting around having opinions, and sitting around and then hiding behind the computer desk and the keyboard, you sending death threats out to people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Tracy Latrice says, speaking facts about what we were talking about earlier, and speaking on the American Black dude speaking to the other American Black soldier. She said, yes, that is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. Now, what can be said about this, right? What can be said about this? Here's another meme that really, I caught this one. I brought this one up. I'm gonna have you read this one, Tanya. I got it. I think I have it pretty big here. I got this one. I thought it was a pretty good meme, and I said, "Hey!" And plus, it came from you. You posted this, right? But this is speaking on relationships. But however, this right here is these different bullet points are exactly what American blacks have faced in this relationship with Euro Americans, as Europeans call American whites. So let's read through this. Subtle but extremely real forms of emotional abuse.
All right. The subtle but extremely real forms of emotional abuse, demanding immediate responses. Demanding immediate responses. So you don't have time to think about it. You don't have time to think about weigh the pros and the cons. You don't have time. We need a decision right now. We need your decision right now. We need your vote right now. Demanding immediate responses right now.
Right now. We need your vote right now. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. They're going to put you back in chains. Don't think about it.
Right. So demanding immediate responses. So you don't have time to really look at what's been going on, like the shows that we've been bringing you, and examining the information and going to do your own research. We need this now. November 3rd, we need it. All right. Withholding affection as punishment. Withholding affection as punishment. So in this context, we'll say compassion. We'll say reasonable human compassion. You know, like comments with like, well, you know, everybody is having a hard time, you know, but you haven't gone through what we've gone through to have the hard times we have, though. You know, but withholding affection as punishment, having no camaraderie or no identification with what it is that we're experiencing. Number 3, not telling you what you did wrong, but expecting you to grovel for forgiveness. Not telling you what you did wrong. In this context, this would mean, you know, we allow our police departments, we're not reforming police departments because on the inside, in our psyche, really, we do feel that you are a threat and the police are defending their lives. They don't know what you will do. So you're not going to tell us that, though, because then you'll have another problem on your hands. You're not going to tell us that. So you're not telling us that you're afraid of us. You're not telling us why you're afraid of us, because then you would have to expose your own deficiency. So you're not telling us why you're afraid of us.
In actuality, they should be groveling and asking for forgiveness for what has been done. For goodness sakes, the patty rollers go back to slavery time. South Carolina, trying to catch the runaway slaves. The Irish patty rollers. Continue on.
Okay, this one I love. This next one. Intentional forgetfulness about things and events that are important to you, or I call this selective memory. You know, so when we bring it back up every 4 years, oh yeah, that. You know, oh yeah. We're gonna address that. We'll you know, we're gonna do some things and that we think that will be amicable for you. You'll be happy with them. You know, until the next 4 years, because that what you say gets lost in the sauce, it gets slid under the radar, and then next 4 years you sitting there with your hand out. Remember what you told me? Now, why would you expect somebody who never had the character and integrity to make good on their word before? And I last week I said 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 16 years ago. How about 60 years ago? How about that? And we're still at it. So why would you expect them to do something different than they always did? No, the next one, patronizing your opinion. Patronizing. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. We hear you. We understand. We do understand. We are working on putting these things in place. What I call that is passivism. You're being passive. You're passively addressing what I said with no intentions on doing anything about it. So it's just patronizing. Okay. Next is love bombing you to erase bad behavior. It's not to erase your bad behavior, it's to erase your memory of their bad behavior. So they love bomb you. Oh, you're just the greatest thing. We give out awards to basketball players. We give out awards to black baseball players. We give out awards to black actresses and black musicians and black actors and things like that. We're acknowledging you. We're love bombing you. We're letting you know we love you guys. We're with you guys. You have made some valuable contributions. And this brings a story. I just want to insert this. I used to work in they're defunct now, so I can mention the name. I used to work in Tower Records record store in Boston, Massachusetts. And there was this guy that used to come in and he was intentionally antagonistic. He was a racist and we used to call him Whitey. He was very antagonistic. So he came in during Black History Month and he said we had a special section of videos, VHS tapes for rental in the video department. And we had a black section and we would switch it around all month, every week, so that people can come out and rent videos that had to do with blacks' contributions to America and the great things that we've done. So Whitey came in. We had Paula Abdul's tape on the rack, and so he goes up. He comes in. I'm the only one out there, right? I'm on the registers, daytime, mid afternoon. So he comes in and he's walking around in his usual style because he wants to get my gold up, right? So not only is he racist, he's also anti-female, right? So he's walking around in his smugness, his smugness. And I'm just looking at him because I'm like, man, I'm about to rule you. If you start with me, I'm about to run you. So he says, Paula Abdul, what is she doing on here? She's in black. And he goes on to run down, her ethnicity, her ethnic mix or whatever. I said, well, ultimately, she is an outgrowth of black. So that's why she's on the rack. So he says, well, I guess I'll rent from this rack today. Blacks have made some contribution to the world. And he was trying to get me. And I was just like, I just looked at him. And I looked at him, he was the most ignorant thing I had ever experienced in my life. And the only reason why I didn't open up on him is I was at work. But I have a way of opening up on people that's very intelligent. By the time they realize what I said to them, it's then gone over their head, right? So I exchanged some more stuff with him and we were done with it. But that story came to mind when it says, love bombing to erase bad behavior. Now, he had bad behavior. And that's what the people in this country has done, this government and stuff like that. And I'm not an anarchist. I'm just presenting truths to you. So because of the things they do give, because of the segments of us and the demographic of us that are paid very well, they feel that this erases, this should put your memory backwards and cause you to forget all the other bad behaviors that they're constantly doing. How can I forget something that's still currently happening? Right? So you were thinking that my head screws on and off. Last one, creating a purgatory of ambiguity about your relationship status, creating a purgatory. Now, what is purgatory? For those of you who know anything about Catholicism, they believe that when you die, there's a place that you go to called purgatory that you can buy your way. Somebody in your family can buy your way out of, or you sit in purgatory for a designated amount of time until whatever your sin debt is paid, and then you're able to move on to heaven. That's a great money-making scheme. That's pretty good right there. But you're creating a purgatory of ambiguity. Ambiguity is not having a clear, defined definition or a clear, defined place or title or nature of your relationship. It's ambiguous. It's whatever you say, and that's I'm going to tell you what that is, but it's whatever you say it is. So if you think that we're boyfriend and girlfriend, you think we're husband and wife, you think we're best friends, we're besties, you think we're that, it's whatever picture you paint of it. But I never said nothing. So when you call me to the carpet on the nature of our relationship, well, I thought we were friends, I thought we were buds, I thought we were comrades. Well, I never said that. Where'd you get that from? That was your imagination. That was what you thought. I never gave you any reason to think that we were together. I never gave you any reason to think that we were one, we were solid. I never gave you that. That was your imagined or the desire of your imagination that told you that. So all of these are characteristic of a narcissist. When you go study narcissism, when you go study narcissism, these are all telltale signs of a narcissistic relationship. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, that's what this is. And so we have had a narcissistic relationship with the very country that we built. We're in a narcissistic relationship. Well, why shouldn't they be? They stole us, which the very scripture that they said that this country is built on, and that a lot of black groups are saying, well, that's the white man's scripture, that's the white man's word. No, because man stealing was a main issue, and so they violated their own the very thing that they tried to use to put us in change with as reason. They violated it. Man stealing is a very serious infraction. Man stealing. So they stole us and then brought us here, and then used us for free labor, freed us grudgingly, didn't make good on the promise. The government then didn't make good on the promise of the 40 acres and a mule. And now, we're sitting here and we're in a deficit, and you tell us, well, and so then when we do work to get ourselves out, we had some great movements. The one situation where was it in Maryland, where a whole black city that was self-sufficient was built, they burnt it down. So here we are in a deficit, and you say, well, you should be happy. You have some people that have some things done, and it's not narcissistic and just don't care. So here we are. Either you're faced with the truth. When you turn into this broadcast, you're faced with the truth. Now the problem is, the question is, what are you in your individual sphere of influence going to do about it? What are you going to set off in your individual sphere of influence to do something about this? Because this right here, this list right here, this is somebody slapping you in the face over and over again and saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now you bruised up and battered. Now you punch drunk. And they're still saying, I'm sorry. But they're not really. They're patronizing you because there's nothing being changed, nothing being done. So now this means the burden of responsibility is now on us. The burden of responsibility is on us. Else, you may as well say, I'm cool being a slave. Go ahead on and walk up to somebody with some stock. Go buy your own stocks and your own leash and put it around your neck and go to the first person you see that can use you in that way and say, I'm here at your disposal to do with it whatever you can imagine. You may as well do that if you're going to sit there and allow this to be like this.
Okay? Especially all you Protestants, you know what I'm talking about. And even if you're not Protestant, your view is not based upon the color of your skin. All right? let me also deal with something, and I got to say this because this is really something. I find it amazing to me that, number one, when we talk about the value of life and the value of Black lives, it's interesting that when you have a difference of opinion, you're demonized. When you have a difference of opinion, you become invalidated as a Black person. And I think that's really strange. Why is my Blackness based upon, and again, I'm using terms because you saw my video, I'm using terms that we understand. I want to be clear. But why is my relevance in the Black community based upon whether or not I agree with rhetoric, even if the rhetoric's not true? I had a conversation with a woman who's a part of a particular political group. I'm not going into politics. And she was talking to me, and she said to me, this is what she said to me. She says, and she's against Republicans, all of that, but she says, I find it interesting that when we have these meetings and talk about civil rights and oppression, she said the whole meeting is about LGBTQ. We don't even talk about Black issues anymore. It's all about LGBTQ.
This is partly where the rubber hits the road, right? And when we're talking about, here we are, we're looking at anarchists who are transgender, talking about they want their slogan is F the police. And when NWA made the song F the police, they were talking about injustice being done to American Black people. But here this person is picking it up 20, 30 years later, co-opting it and saying that they're going to do this and their whole thing is to collapse the system. She says, I'm using the right pronoun, she says that you are based in a system, you believe in a system that has failed and it needs to fall down. What is the difference between what she's saying and the accelerationists or the accelerationism movement of Caucasians who are on the alt-right? There is no difference, because when you do research, you find that it's two sides of the same coin. Where are we at in the middle? So that's why we say we should sit this one out, because the Democrats are obviously on the side of the communist leaning anarchists, because every law that they're passing now is to make it to protect them. And had it been a protest, when this all kicked off in May, when the protest happened, if it had been an all American Black protest, the whole situation would be different. The conversation would be different. They would have automatically said these thugs. Remember what happened in Missouri, how they treated the American Blacks then and were protesting. They pulled out every type of weapon they could, rubber bullets, all kinds of smoke, everything, street sweeping, tanks, everything. They are not pulling it out because these are Caucasians. These are their children just having a temper tantrum because they're bored. Miss me with that co-opting our movements. And anyone who doesn't understand that, you just want to rub shoulders with people so bad, you are truly a coon. Let's go.
The problem I have is that the people that argue, they don't do the research. They don't even do the research. They just argue with you because, oh, you this and you're that, you're this. But I'm asking you, well, what did you find out? What research did you do? Did you study, woke Black person? Did you study the fact that Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was a stark racist, a blatant racist that said, I want to eliminate the Black community? You talking about half of our population has been aborted since 1973. Our current population is about 44 million people in America. And half of that has been wiped off this planet. And
now I have to stop that right there. Listen. Half of 44, we're actually a little bit long there because you had to throw in the mixed race people too. Puts us up a little bit more. But 44% of the population, 44 million, people in this country, right? Half, 22 million babies have been aborted. Let that sink in for a minute. Half of what the population is right now. That would have put us over, that would have made us 66 million people running. But 22 million have been aborted. I mean, this is devastating. This is a devastating thing. This is, when you look at it, it's even more devastating than the coons that were selling the crack. Let that sink in for a minute.
I know what you're going to say. A lot of people say, well, what you're doing, Keenan, you're diverting away from police brutality. You're diverting away from racism. You're talking about abortion. I'm not trying to divert away from anything. I'm not trying to divert away from anything, but it is my urgent plea to my brothers and sisters. And it's not just my black brothers and sisters, my white brothers and sisters. It is my urgent plea to you that you would look again. That's all I'm asking. Look again. Get to hear what I'm trying to tell you. The level of manipulation that's going on right now is out of this way. It would blow your mind. This should be brought up before the world court if they weren't so corrupt. This should be brought up before the courts of the world to deal with the diabolical manipulation, the diabolical coercion that's going on. And I'm just saying, just study it for yourself. And when I said that the day I stopped being black, that was not a slap in the face of the black community. It's not saying I don't appreciate the melanin in my skin or the culture. It simply says that there's a transcendence. As Christians, and I didn't just address black people, I addressed white people. And any people, any group of people who has made their melanin or lack thereof their identity. That's what I've dealt with. All I'm saying to you, search the scriptures. Search your heart. God has called the black community for such a time as this to be purveyors, listen to me, and propagators of revival. To be purveyors of prayer. Hallelujah. To be stewards of the mysteries of God. He's called our community to be instrumental in the global awakening, and specifically the awakening of America. And that's why the black community has come under such diabolical attack. I mean,
Okay, let me stop that for a minute. Let me stop that for a minute. Look, what's so diabolical about what the left has done with the right overseeing what the left has done, the alt-right overseeing what the anarchists has taken pages from out of the American black rhetorical book, talking about dismantling the system of white supremacy and replacing it with a system of justice. They co-opted that, took that, flipped it upside down, rewrapped it around, and said, death to America, destruction of the state. Destruction of the state means, again, that you're not going to get what is owed to you, and it is another form of white supremacy. Because it still dupes you out of what you are supposed to receive. And they took the language, flipped it around, co-opted. Too many people trying to rub elbows. So happy that a Caucasian is listening and talking to them. Like I have one Caucasian friend. You know, we did a radio show together, right? But we talk about these conversations, and I talk the same way I talk now. And it's the way that it is. It's just the way that it is with me and understanding. People have to have understanding of what I'm doing and what I'm saying, right? And I have a middle standing, an overstanding of what the whole large mind state, in my opinion, should be. But that's just my mind state. Everybody's mind state is different. As long as you're not on that hamster wheel trying to hobnob and rub shoulders and things. So when he's talking about black, that's why I have to come in and interject again, is the part where he's talking about his wife. They don't care. Because to give you what you are owed, they would have to dismantle white supremacy. So instead of dismantling white supremacy, they just want to drop the whole state so you get duped and cheated out of what you are owed. Still, it's still another side of white supremacy, no matter what flip of the coin you do with these anarchists or the accelerationists.
If any community had experienced 20 million abortions since 1973, we would call, you talking about 50 years. In 50 years, in my brother's lifetime, I'm not 50, but in my brother's lifetime, since my brother was a child, was born, you're talking about 20 million black people, whether you call them people or not, have been eradicated from this planet. And until we're willing to address these kinds of things, or the fact that we have, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, we're not dealing with the fact that there are brothels in our communities. There are liquor stores in our communities that are selling malt liquor that give people diabetes, that give people cirrhosis of the liver. They're selling drug paraphernalia from gas stations in the black community. You can't go to any white community, any white gas station and drive and buy paraphernalia out of the station.
Now, who is doing that? Who is selling paraphernalia at the gas stations? Are immigrants. What immigrants are they? The ones that are supposed to be teaching you a better way. If you are dumb, deaf, and blind, they're supposed to be teaching you the ways of Islam, but instead they sell you what is detrimental to you, and you think they're cool, and they say, "What's up, brother? How you doing?" And they take on that walk, and they're selling that trash to you, and you're taking it hook, line, and sinker. Instead of telling them, when they walked into my business establishment, they didn't see no paraphernalia. They didn't see no pipes. They didn't see no roach clip feathers. They didn't see none of that in my store. They saw music. They saw things that had to do with upliftment, right? And so that's what it is. But people still, I told people, I said, why are you supporting that when you should be over here, and we come together and we eradicate the neighborhood of that. Let them go to the Caucasian neighborhoods with that same get up and see how long they last. See how long they last. Do you not love yourselves? And that's why this whole thing about jumping on this anarchy tip and being with them, and the black dude ridiculing the American black soldier is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And downing people who say, look, we are supposed to be in a better mind state than being in this mindset that they have put us in. We are in a state we are in a set, right? We are in a state that is a mindset instead of having a mind state that eradicates the mindset so that we can be free mentally. The miseducation of the Negro. The miseducation of the Negro. The miseducation of the Negro.
You know, as you were talking about what immigrants are in the neighborhood that sells these things to our people, I want to bring out the fact that I have a friend that he and his wife goes to Zion like maybe every 2 years or so. And over there, his experience with the Arab community is different. Over there, they know who the black man is. Over there, there's honor given to the black man over there. The ones that are coming over here are being let in. They are considered to be of a lower class of their people. So they're of a lower class of their people, and they're coming and infiltrating our neighborhoods and selling you Colt 45 malt liquor, selling you, I can't think of the other, Miller Genuine Draft in a 40 ounce, you know, Bud in a 40 ounce, the 40 ounce, you know, the 40 ounce. And not only that, they're selling you Black and Milds and Swisher Sweets and things like that. Do you know that Black and Milds and Swisher Sweets has ground up glass in it? Ground up glass. Do you know that in the prisons, that when they want to get at somebody, they grind glass and put it in the food that cuts you up from the inside? So from the inside, not only the food, Lord have mercy, not only the food that you're taking in, pork, beef, not enough greenery, not enough vegetables. Your mind is cloudy, starches and carbohydrates. The food stamp program, you see people in there with boxes of sweet cereal, 10 boxes of cereal in the cart. Or now they got those big 3-pound bags of cereal. Sweet, sugar, straight white sugar, straight poison. You're putting the salt on the meat that's clogging you up. You're clogged up. And that stuff that you're putting in your system, including the malt liquor and the Swisher smoking the Black and Milds and Swisher Sweets, you getting cut up from the inside, toe up. So your mind is not able to function correctly. And this is what we have. And so you're going to enter an argument with a person who is researching things, and it's actually to your benefit that they research. So you have a lower class of people. So let me talk about now with that meme that we just did, and I said that was a narcissistic behavior. Let's talk about flying monkeys. I'm going to tell you what a flying monkey is. A flying monkey in the context of narcissism is the ones that are pitted against the victim. So the person who is in a narcissistic relationship, the narcissist then goes and rallies a bunch of people, usually people that they both know. Both of the people in the relationship knows. So they rally those people against the victim. And they try to, what they do is they provoke an incident. They provoke an incident so that the victim loses their cool and then goes off. And so then the narcissist turns around and gets the flying monkeys and says, see, look at what they're doing. See. And the flying monkeys are just people who just go by what they see. They go by what they see and they formulate an opinion, usually on the narcissist side, according to what the narcissist has provoked out of the victim and the victim responded to. And the flying monkeys are merely the people who believe that are rallied against the victim. And so what we have here And y'all, listen, if you're going to get simple-minded and get all caught in your feelings because I use the term monkey, then so be it. But this is a type of flying monkey. We are allowing ourselves, that one guy that was standing against the soldier in the one clip, he is a flying monkey because he has taken something that another group has introduced to him to point a finger in a particular direction. He's hopped on board. He didn't flew to the scene to speak on the behalf of the narcissist. He didn't flew to the scene to speak on behalf of the narcissist, and those who are victims are standing there like, can't you see that you're being played? Can't you see that you're being played? So the only psychologists say in a situation, in a relationship with a narcissist, the only way to get over and to get past that narcissistic behavior is to form a clean break. Form a clean break. You cannot have interactions with the narcissist. You cannot stay friends with the narcissist. You cannot have times of emotional. You gotta completely emotionally and completely disconnect. And they say, stay no contact. Now put that in the context of what we've been talking about. The same things apply.
The same things apply. All right, people. So, I think we have brought this to the spear tip. Like, we got it. Or the tip of the vaccine needle, the drip, just before they stick you with it. So tomorrow, people, we're going to be discussing, amongst other things, we're going to be discussing this right here. Should be a nice discussion for people to call in and talk about how a mysterious man fooled a Harvard scholar into believing the gospel of Jesus' wife was real. And so that should be a great discussion going on tomorrow. That's what we're going to be talking about, right? So let's pull this down real quick. And so let people know that we are on, that we do our thing, and that, they should come on and be a part and watch us and come on to us. So listen, people, and be part of the program. Listen, TFR Podcast Live, hashtag TFR Podcast Live on the Film Review Live channel. We have just celebrated our 130th show. 130 shows in the bag. The Film Review Live channel. Movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, where we review how movies and music reflect the culture and politics in the society now and then, right? So make sure you check that out. You go over to the Film Review Live channel, the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, click the bell so you can be notified when we come on, right? And don't forget, we just finished doing, and what's interesting about both of these is the number 13 is there. We just finished doing 13 episodes of hashtag TFR Podcast Live, and this is the 14th episode. We had our transition episode when we spoke about the World Trade Center last Friday. We come on Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. 5 days we're bringing you information that you can use. 13 episodes. Go over to the Film Review Live channel. Go to the playlist. Click observations and binge watch. You can also hear us. On Apple Podcasts. On Apple Podcasts. You can go listen to the replays and get the information on your favorite podcast provider. if that is your favorite podcast provider. And again, the film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society, hashtag TFR Podcast Live, Sundays, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We come on and we drop information about films so that you can save revenue when you go to the theater on certain films. You say, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to demand that because that must not be good. Like we talked about cute, like don't see that cute. But anyway, people, Sundays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, the Film Review Live channel. Go click the bell to be notified. Subscribe to the channel, right? We are heard on iHeartRadio. That's your favorite podcast provider. Go to iHeartRadio, type in hashtag TFR Podcast Live, and all the episodes come up. Or go to Google and type in hashtag TFR Podcast Live, iHeartRadio, or for hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB, type in hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB on Apple Podcasts. And all the episodes will come up for you to watch, people. This has been another robust, information-filled time that we had on the show today. And of course, with my special co-host, Tanya M. Congress, we got 10 minutes. Go ahead and close out.
It was funny that you highlighted 13. I was gonna tell the people what's on my mind today to tell them if you guys missed last week. I mean, we've been escalating in this information that we're providing for you, but last week, episodes 9 through 13, particularly with emphasis on 12 and 13, if you had not had a chance to tune in, go back, binge watch all the episodes, but those two in particular, if you're not familiar with the terminologies that are being tossed around through the media, such as Marxism, communism, anarchy, and all of the stuff that we've been mentioning, go back because we gave you a thorough definition of those words. We did the legwork for you, so the only thing you got to do is turn on a video and watch it and take a screenshot of it or take a snapshot of it with your phone so you can keep those. It's going to be imperative that you keep those in mind as you're making your decision. If you're not going to follow our advice not to sit this one out, then if you're going to make a decision, you need to know what those words mean and what the parties that you're considering are standing for or not standing for. Okay. And then you mentioned, D, about the number 13 being in both the TFR Podcast Live and the Podcast Live OB, being the current episodes before this one today. And we've been conditioned to believe a lot of things. So I'm telling you, you're going to have to go back and dismantle everything you know as normal, and you're going to have to let the God within you teach you again, as you've been taught to be able to function within this construct that's been put together that's meant to keep you a slave, and that your godness be basically snuffed out by your own beliefs. All right. But number 13 has historically been associated with bad luck, things like that. But actually, number 13 does have a meaning. It's quite different than what we've been conditioned to believe. The number 13 brings the test, the suffering, and the death. It brings the test, the suffering, and the death. So in other words, in between the test and the death and the suffering, there are decisions that have to be made. There are maneuvers, there are strategies, there are navigations, right? And it symbolizes the death to a matter and the birth of another. So it symbolizes the death of a matter or to oneself and the birth to the spirit, right? The passage on a higher level of existence. A higher level of existence, it is to signify renewed passion and motivation. So that is really what the number 13 symbolizes. And so it was no mistake that all of the information that was given, all the problems with getting the broadcast being interrupted and us kicked off the lines and everything like that. And it's no mistake that was number 13. Now somebody else, the conditioned mind, would have said, oh, well, this number 13, that's the bad luck number. You probably should have skipped that episode. That's what the conditioned mind would have said.
You know, actually, before you continue, actually 11 and 12 were the ones getting to transition. Getting to the transition was where they tried to, in our opinion, tried to knock us off from continuing. But when it came to episode 13, the transition, it was smooth sailing all the way through. Smooth sailing on the transitioning, bringing the information to a spear's point, to that needle point before you push the plunger. Now we're ready to start pushing the plunger, baby. 14 and on, we're ready, but we got to that transition. We're at 130 shows on hashtag TFR Podcast Live. And at the same time, it matched up with 13 episodes of hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB. So when it got to time for a transition, it ran smooth. 11 and 12 was the ones where they were trying to shut it down. Go ahead.
And we didn't even plan that. Our show, OB, is a newer show, and so it wasn't planned that it coincided with TFR Podcast Live. It wasn't planned. It just so happens. This is how you know. These are some of the signs of that you know that something is being divinely inspired, in case you didn't know. So when something is being divinely inspired, it works out that way. Some people say, the trained mind says, oh, that was just a coincidence. Trained mind don't believe nothing spiritual. The trained mind is just easily led and goes with the flow, doesn't have insight into anything beyond the immediate that they can see right before them. The spiritual mind sees in the realm of the spirit, so they discern those things. So even with 13 is a combination of two numbers, number 2 and number 11. Number 2 is double. Number 11 means to be synced, to be in sync. So you have a double being in sync. Those things are very important. Spiritual numerology is very important, all right, to understand the movement of things. So there's so much here. There's so much richness, and there's such a robust pool of knowledge here on this broadcast. And so it's not something that you can afford to miss. Shoot it out. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people who need to know some things, share it, replay it. Playing something 7 times, they say, usually it takes before you really get it. It gets in. Come on, man. Let's go ahead on with this thing. You cannot just keep saying, oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, I understand. That's good. I know some people. Yeah, that's good. They know it's true. But yeah, you're right. You're right. What?
All right, people. So look, we'd like to thank you for people tuning in, the people who commented. S1 Dubs, I think 1S Dubs. Let me make sure I got the name right. S1 Dubs for chiming in with us today. We'd like to thank you for watching episode 14 of hashtag TFR Podcast Live, Observations by Crazy D, with my special guest host, Tanya M. Congress. Make sure that you smash the friendship button, the like button on all the pages. Make sure you subscribe. We've told you how to do it. Replay. We appreciate you. We appreciate you tuning in with us this morning and this afternoon, because we're spreading across the globe, and those who are watching us overseas, we appreciate you. All those who listen to us on the replays on iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast provider, we're on all of them, both shows. All those who watch us on FB, on Periscope, on Vimeo, on YouTube, the Film Review Live channel, we thank you. We appreciate you. And make sure that you go back and watch episode 130, where we talk about that cuties, where we break this down, where we're tying all this together. Everything that you see is infinity circle. Everything is infinity circle. Everything is connected together. Everything that you see, the anarchist infinity circle, along with the accelerationist infinity circle, transgender infinity circle, pedophilia infinity circle. You've been watching #TFR Podcast Live, and we will see you again tomorrow on the next episode. Tell everybody that we're coming on tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, with another show that's going to be very interesting, when we talk about Jesus' wife, y'all.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Community, heart, heart, heart. Crazy.